Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. This is Joe with the Local Search Association, and I'd like to welcome all of you to LSA's webinar series. Today's webinar is titled Local SEM, The Machines Have Taken Over, and will be brought to you by our guest presenters Mark Poirier from Acquisio and Jeremy Kagan from Pricing Engine. So with that, let's get started. Over to you, Mark.
All right, thank you. So just wanted to take a few minutes to position the topic for today. The machines have taken over. So in local search, we found that over the years, the degree at which humans and machines are involved has changed quite dramatically. And because of that, we've been able to help companies, different kinds of companies, automate a lot of the work they need to do to address the needs of SMBs. So on our side at Acquisio, we've been doing that for PPC, helping with algorithms to increase the level of accuracy at which we spend budgets and to generate more clicks or more phone calls. And then I've met different players in the industry, different companies who also have different kinds of activities, who also try to automate more of the work. And so I think we've come to a point where almost everything's automated. And so that's why we chose this topic for today. I think it's time to just sort of recap where are we at, how much need is there for humans still? Is there a need for humans? What is it? And what's the role of technology in automating local search campaigns? So I'll introduce myself quickly. My name is Mark Poirier. I'm EVP, co-founder at Acquisio. And my co-presenter is a friend of the industry, Jeremy Kagan. He's also a partner with Acquisio from Pricing Engine. He's a professor at Columbia University. And he has toured, I think, with Vans Warped Tour. Could be wrong, but Jeremy, you'll have a chance to sort of talk about that in a minute.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. I hope everyone can hear me. As Mark said, my name is Jeremy Kagan. I'm the CEO of Pricing Engine, and we help channel partners service the small business market with search marketing and digital ads. It's also true that I teach digital marketing up at Columbia Business School, so I am around people who know everything all the time, and there will be a pop quiz at the end of this. And I should admit that I was on the Vans Warped Tour back in the day. That was very punk rock, and we got to travel around Southern California. Now I have 3 kids, and I don't do that sort of thing anymore. But my most recent job before founding my company many years ago was at Sony Music in the digital business. So I've been around digital for quite a while. In any case, my business today is helping small businesses get their ads out there, and that's generally done through people they trust. And we currently work with partners. We have over almost 10,000 accounts now. We work with partners like Wix in their marketplace, servicing some of the smallest businesses out of their 55 million websites. We work with partners as big as Time Warner Cable, the #2 cable company in the United States, and publishers like Freedom Communications. And I've got a lot of other partners there. I just want to give you an example that might kind of ring some bells for you. So if we could, tap into the next slide, please. Now, generally, we saw a problem, and that was that the very smallest businesses, we call them VSBs, the sort of Main Street customers, these are the guys who are your bread and butter. They are the toughest to serve, and they really needed a solution that was both customized and used best practices, but also was automated so that there could be a real business here. And this is really what Pricing Engine was built to serve. We actually are targeting and designed for dealing with the idiosyncrasies of the smallest businesses, the things they need. And we do this through our partners, who are the people they trust to buy it from. Can I have the next slide, please? The challenge for these small businesses is they're very interested and want to spend more on digital, but they need to buy from a trusted partner. And that's you. Generally speaking, I don't think anybody here is surprised to see that survey after survey just finds more and more recognition by the most local of businesses that digital marketing and search engine marketing in this particular article are is a top priority. And yet they're suspicious, they have challenges, and the real problem is that up till now, most of the ability to serve small businesses has been done in a way that really wasn't automated, making the business model difficult for everyone concerned. Can we go to the next slide, please? So why don't small businesses currently spend more on digital? Well, the challenge is there's a bewildering array of choices. They can think of Google and Facebook and really don't know of any of the other choices. But even if they go and try to do self-service, it's very complex and very time-consuming. As you probably know, Google AdWords is so complex that Google came out with AdWords Express, and that's still too complex for most small businesses. Another challenge they have is it's very difficult for them to understand, whether they're succeeding. What's the value they're delivering for their budget and for their spend? Couple that with the distrust of all the companies that come and go and knock on their door with the next big thing, and it's a very difficult decision to make. And then finally, even if they've decided, you know what, digital is for me, I realize that, today people are looking for stores, looking for restaurants, they're looking for dry cleaners. They're looking through this stuff not just through their computer and their mobile device, but the budget threshold for participating is often way too high for a small business that may be a local, regular Main Street business and really might only need and have a budget for a few $100s a month. So, that's the challenge for the small business. Can we step to the next slide, please? Now, one of the things that we've noticed is there's a lot of solutions out there that purport to serve these SMBs, and many of you may already work with some, but they generally try to do things the old school way. They take sort of a full-service agency model with the crowd of people that would normally help service a large client, and they try to dumb it down and limit the amount of time spent, which really results in kind of poor service and an unsatisfactory result for all concerned. The flip side of that, of course, can be that they try to bundle up as many other services as they can into this offering and have high price points, which means that, generally speaking, first they may be out of the price range of your very small businesses, which are the vast majority of them out there, or, in fact, they may be competing with you and services you offer already in-house or through other partners you prefer. So to solve this problem, we really sat down and said, in the modern cloud-based economy, we need an automated solution that really takes most of the labor out of the process so that we can really service the very smallest businesses with the very smallest budgets effectively with best practices so that they can do a good job of getting value from their digital spend. Can we see the next slide, please? And what this means is we really worked hard to make it easy for your salespeople to sell, deploy, and manage SEM and digital ads for your smallest customers. This means avoiding conversations about what's the right budget and what keywords should I use and all the details of creative and things like that that go into a lot of the conversations today. What we do is we productize these packages and turn them into a bundle, something essentially that you can buy in a small, medium, or large. So for your customers, that may be a $250, $500, and a $1,000 package, but they buy the small, medium, or large, and then we, on your behalf or on the customer's behalf, choose the keywords, the creative, the targeting, the bidding, and just drive visits and calls for your customer across whatever the appropriate networks are. And then finally, we push back with estimated sales and leads, a value estimation to tell them how they're doing, and suggest growth opportunities. So they get a high-level report and a little bit more information on what's in it for them. This promotes them sticking around, quite frankly, and the long-term customer value. And I'll dig a little bit deeper into this. And this is really the best way to reach down into the true foundation of the customer pyramid, to the tens of millions of small businesses out there that up till now have been really difficult to service at a cost-effective and profitable way. The next slide. So what we're doing is making it easy for you. It's productized, and it's a turnkey solution. So your sales team doesn't get bogged down in the sales process. When you're selling small, medium, and large, and you avoid that discussion of exactly what the right budget is, it makes it an easy process. Now, this allows you to simply enter an order into our system, which can be done through an API, through our web-based system, or quite frankly, with many of the salespeople we've worked with out there, they just want to send an email, and you can have that generated from your existing ordering system. This drops it right into the other screen you see here, which is the sort of dashboard that our team will then go in and use the automated tools to launch the order. So it's very easy for a sales team, not a lot of training, and often for a new product, you're being asked to knock on new doors. Salespeople really don't like to chase down those new things. They'd rather go back to their best customers and, and quite frankly say, would you like fries with that? So in this case, they take the successful things you're already doing and add a digital component to support that. So the next slide, please. Now, we can deploy most new orders within hours. We do it over a course of days if it needs approval by Google, but most of these orders are deployed so fast because we've got customizable templates, best practices, and all the keywords, bidding, and initial information needed to get this product going already built into our system. And you're seeing a snapshot right now of the initial status of an order. Most of the information we need to successfully launch a customized campaign is automatically dropped into our system by your ordering process, where the business is, whether they're local or national sales, do they have a phone number so we can enable mobile click-to-call, do they have a sales radius so we can do geo-fencing. If you could show the next slide, you'll see how this plays out. We immediately can take that hypothetical customer, in that case a pizza place, in this a florist, and you'll see that we've already got selected lots of keywords, lots of negative keywords, and even a half dozen ads that are then customized for your customers. We've worked with over thousands and thousands of businesses and over hundreds of categories, and have developed best practices templated ads. And Thanksgiving is a great time to use this kind of example, but maybe some of you remember back from when you were younger, in the backseat of the car going to Grandma's for Thanksgiving, playing a game called Mad Libs. We've developed best practices ads that really allow us to take every customer and customize ads for them in basically an instant. So if you're a restaurant in a town, we have an ad that says, "Best insert cuisine here in insert town here. Check out our Yelp reviews and check out our weekly specials." These are kind of no-brainer best practices ads, and we've created these already for hundreds of categories. Next page, please. Now, by automating those best practices, it makes it easy to quickly deploy complete campaigns customized with creative keywords and targeting and bidding templates, and also the best practices like geofencing and click-to-call already built in. This avoids all the time-consuming discussions about what's right and how to do it, and just simply launches the campaign. Next slide, please. So you'll see here we've got geofencing, and again, all of this is fully customizable. But what we do is we learn from best practices where some towns might be willing to drive 50 miles to get to a business. Others, like for example, us here in Manhattan, we might not be willing to go across town to go to a restaurant. So these are adjusted by region and local demographic, plus experience, and the need to generate leads to create a customized best practices experience that includes all the things that they may not even know they need. Next page, please. All of this information is generated simply from the website and business information passed to us in the order. Now, if you've already got an existing ad or listing with them, that information can be used to generate the copy for the ad itself, and we can deploy this across all the major search and social ad channels. So instead of having to explain which is good and which is bad, we simply deploy their ad as efficiently as possible across all the channels in the product they select. If you buy Search Boost, for example, we'll deploy the customer's ad on Google, Bing, and Yahoo, and then adjust to make sure they're getting the most efficient, the largest number of clicks and calls they can for their limited budget. And this is really one of the unique things about very small business as well. They only have a certain amount of money to spend. It's not about getting as many leads as possible or about the vanity of being number one. It's about bidding most efficiently to do what's right for them, and perhaps that's number 4. As you can also see here, we can handle ads for Facebook and Twitter as well, with an extensive library of stock footage, photos, and the like that we can insert for those ads, or we can simply automatically pull the images they've presented on their webpage off for use in those advertisements. Again, this is mostly automated, and we have a moderator who's certified in Google, Bing, etc., to make sure it's all done right and any idiosyncrasies are accounted for, and the full custom experience is there. Next page, please. Now, our tech platform doesn't stop at rapid deployment. We have a full interface for monitoring this, and if your salespeople want, they can dig down deep across channels, even down to the campaign and keyword level. This allows them to see how they're doing across a range of properties, and this is just an example campaign, so they can select the time, the channel, and everything to really understand how things are performing. What we're trying to do here is make your salesperson, give them like sort of the superpower of being able to see how they're doing with this quick summary before he walks in, and then look like the digital expert for that client and build on that trust he's generated. So all of this is generated through a combination of best practices, sort of absolute rules, and peer benchmarking. You might say, well, what's that mean? Well, what we're doing is we're recognizing that the florist on the street corner in Minneapolis doesn't compete with the florist on the street corner in New York. They're competing with the army of marketing PhDs at 1-800-Flowers. So on the back end, anonymously, we actually take the data and use it as a giant multivariate experiment. This data allows somebody spending just a few $100s a month to nevertheless benefit from essentially big data experiments on what works best. And this is where we've done some great work interfacing with the Acquisio team, and we're beginning to really exploit some of the data to really run better and better efficiencies for our customers. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of reporting, we have a plain English philosophy. So instead of coming up with some strange numbers and things that they don't understand, you'll notice in the top left there, we have a report card. The report card is A through F. And this guy's doing pretty well, although it's just an example. But essentially what we do is we show people where they stand against people like them. So in addition to the hundreds of different classifications we have, we pool each customer against people like them in the same spending category, industry, and region, and ensure that they're performing as they should. This allows us to create on the back end rules for monitoring. You might say to yourself, well, with a small team that like we have, how can we possibly manage almost 10,000 accounts? What we do is we don't have to look at them every day because we have a set of monitors in the back in an automated fashion that make sure that we only look at things that may need some additional attention. In other words, we manage by exception. And by comparing every florist to every other florist, we are much more able to pick out the ones that need attention and help and really manage this in an efficient way with a very small team. We're currently, incidentally, onboarding 30 to 50 accounts every day. And you'll also notice on the bottom graphic here, there's an ability to dig down very deeply in, and you can see that there's a small set of graphs there that represent the key performance metrics that your customers might ask about. It presents not only how they're doing, but how they're doing compared to people like them. And finally, we're particularly proud of the one sheet you see in the upper right-hand corner. This was developed with some of our friends in the newspaper industry, and essentially represents a printable PDF that we call a digital tear sheet. For many of our sales team members out in the field, they're still carrying the ad out of the newspaper or showing the ad in the directory with the invoice folded in there. And we provide them a way to do a very similar thing with the digital campaigns. So rather than changing their behaviors and forcing them into a box that we create, we let the salespeople do what they always do. Walk into the store with the person they've been doing business with, put down a sheet of paper that shows them how they're doing, how many visitors they're getting, how many people are seeing their ads, what the ad looks like, and how much money we estimate they're generating from their ad expense. So for this guy's $100 ad expense, he's actually generating a couple $100 of value. And then finally, it automatically will generate opportunities for cross-selling and upselling, so your sales team can focus on what's right for the business. This is all included and customizable, of course, because when we automate these things and make it easy to access, we find that the sales team actually uses them. Next slide, please. Ultimately, what we've done is recognize that the only thing we can't substitute for is common sense. So we've automated everything we can. We've templatized the best practices for the creative. We've created the targeting and even adjusted it by region and other factors to make sure that the starting point from which we optimize is as good as it can be until we deploy the campaign. And so when we get started, we have a great campaign and it only gets better. This is all monitored by professionals, so they're getting the best of both worlds, but it avoids all the challenges of previous attempts to reach to that truly small business.
You know, like I said earlier, the idea is we want to sort of show you how automation has helped us sort of come a long way in local search, especially digital. And Jeremy showed us how his company is able to automate the creation and the management, a lot of the work that goes around managing very, very small spend accounts. So I'm going to tell you a story that's different. You know, it's but in line with his. We're also in the sort of ad tech space. We serve agencies and local search agencies and clients. We've been doing this for a long time, and it's for pure technology. We don't have any services, but that's why we work with Pricing Engine. We need people to oversee the quality of results for some of our partners who are in the local search segment. Of course, search agencies know what they're doing, serving higher end clients with bigger budgets, so they have that level of service offering that's much higher. They spend a lot of time on each client, and they get paid really a lot. The margins are higher, let's put it this way, for those accounts. But then we have that segment, the local search resellers, or the channel partners, Google AdWords channel partners, which is growing really fast for us. It's almost maybe 20% of our business today. And so these companies manage a large number of smaller accounts typically, or except for some segments are larger, the automotive and healthcare and legal space. So we have some agencies who focus on one vertical. We're very successful in many of those. But we also have the media companies, including yellow page companies, who have hundreds and thousands of small accounts to manage, and they already have their operations in place. Many of them already run. And so what we provide to them is a different set of tools, let's say, than Jeremy, because in our case, these companies already have campaigns running, and we're just there to help them scale their business, make them more efficient, and make their clients stick around longer. So we focused on building technology that will generate better results for their customers. So an algorithmic approach to budget management, to bid management. How do we deal with people who have very small budgets and make sure they spend money throughout the month, every day, as effectively as possible? So it's a big challenge, and we've been working on that for a pretty long time, and I'll show you some of the results. Report automation is another pretty important thing. Is getting the right report out at the right time in front of thousands and thousands of accounts is challenging, and making those reports as customized as possible is something that we've also automated. We have an extranet for clients who want to send their clients into their own sort of private area so they can consume reports there. We have APIs and bulk sheets, for companies who want to automate work integrations into their CRM systems, or call tracking systems, or other systems that are required for the workflow to be completed. And we work with tons of call tracking vendors everywhere around the world, in Asia, in Europe, in Australia, but most of them in the US and Canada. So I think, we'll go to the next slide. One of the topics I'll cover before we get into algorithmic management is how do we track success for SMBs? I think the usual metrics are still, unfortunately, ad impressions, clicks, things that look a little impressive, because there's not a lot of volume where you don't have big budgets. So that's, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. That's always going to be there. Being able to show that the ads are being seen and people are clicking on the ads is going to be important. But more and more of the SMBs are asking for more evidence of success, and it comes in the form of call tracking. So having the ability to determine which ad, which keyword, which campaign are generating good results is more and more important for many of our customers. So we've decided to work with a good number of companies, I'll show you in a minute, to be able to bring in the call tracking data from the systems they're using into our bid management, budget management system in order to optimize campaigns as a function of the phone calls that are coming in, how good are the calls, and can we get a lower cost per call, right? These are the problems that we solve really well. So some of the partners we work with here, there's many, but Mongoose Metrics, Keymetric, ResponseStap, Invoca, CallSource, Telmetrics, if by phone Marchex. I think we work with probably half of the vendors in the U.S. and many from overseas. And we're adding more constantly. It's depending on the client's needs. We build these integrations to be able to effectively optimize the campaigns that are running and report on success. So let's talk about optimization. I think that's one of the key values and one of the key challenges for most resellers is how do we spend all of the money that we're given in order to generate more clicks, more calls for our customers, in order to improve retention, right, and keep clients happy. So we've tackled that problem by building algorithms that are designed to spend all the money they're given without going over, by suppressing the cost per click as much as possible, so generating as many clicks as possible within a given budget. The results, usually, if you're measuring calls, you'll see an increase in calls and a lower cost per call. You'll always see an increase in clicks and a lower cost per click. And it's designed to spend the budget as effectively as possible. And so we've done that for maybe 30,000 accounts today, and it's still, we're just scratching the surface, I think. So why does it matter to optimize so it's a 30-minute cycle, right? So we don't wait till the day's over, and it's particularly important with in local search because of budget issues. It's easy to spend a dollar in a day, and if all you have is like $50 or $100 for the month, it's really tricky. So we need to be there constantly monitoring click flow and making sure that we're not exceeding budgets, we're spending as little as possible on any given day. So back up a little bit, back up. All right, so here's just an example of at a different scale. This is for one of our clients that has much more flow than a typical SMB. But what you're seeing, the blue line, is a Google search, Google Trends for the word sweepstakes. So you can see volume peaks for that keyword. And the red line that you see is the number of conversions that our client gets for that same keyword, sweepstakes. So you see that it's not a big surprise. There's a huge increase in people searching for sweepstakes, huge increase in conversions. And the reason for that is there's a TV show, Extreme Sweepstakes, where people could win a lot of money by participating in the sweepstakes. And they all go online at, like, say, 2 in the afternoon. The ad just ran. Everybody's searching for sweepstakes. And they end up on the website, so conversions go through the roof. Probably what's not expected is that the green line is the cost CPA, so the cost per acquisition, cost per lead. You can see the cost per lead goes down. So as the volume goes through the roof, the cost per acquisition goes extremely low. The reason for that is that when you have technology that's always in the auction, always looking for what's happening, we react quickly. So when we see that there's a sudden increase in clicks or conversions or phone calls, we're able to quickly lower our bid, wait for the next 30-minute cycle, and see what happens. Did lowering our bid have a positive or negative effect or no effect on the volume? And if we see that it's going the right direction, we're going to continue to make very small changes. So small bid decreases, small bid increases, always steering towards the target. And because we're in there 48 times per day, we get to the end of the day with still budget running at midnight, basically. We don't run out of money typically. And at the end of the month, naturally, we're spending money on the last day of the month, which usually is where you're going to get the cheapest clicks, the cheapest, because most of your competitors run out of money before then. Same thing for the end of the day, by the way. Most companies run out of money before 5 o'clock if they're running a 9 to 5 campaign. A lot of the times they spend all their money at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's done. So we take advantage of these situations by always being in there and seeing what's going on in the auction and being able to be nimble on bid and budget adjustments. So what does that change for the advertiser at the other end? It generates just way more clicks. It makes a really big difference to be able to adapt quickly. So I'm going to show you a few examples of results for SMBs that are probably bigger size SMBs. They're not tiny, and I'll have some examples of really, really small accounts right after that. But this is an example for sort of Roto-Rooter type company. This company had 358 clicks for a period of time, $44 per click, and 230 phone calls for the period. And after deploying the technology, no other changes to ads or budgets or anything, $15,000 budget. Not only do we not exceed the budget this time, so we spend the money that's provided, $15,000, but the cost per click is much, much lower at $13. We multiplied by 3 or 4 the volume of clicks. Sorry, and the number of calls is up about 50%. So pretty dramatic result, but not a unusual. We see this all the time. Here's another example. And if you look at the bottom, by the way, you'll see what we call X-graphs, are when you map your clicks and your average CPC on a timeline, when you have good optimization, the lines will cross. And it's quite obvious. I'm sorry. So if we go back, if you don't mind going back to the next slide, it's even more evident. You'll see the orange line dip and the blue line go up at the same time. So this is what happens after you deploy good optimization algorithms. All right, so same thing for another one. It's a legal law firm. Same idea, significant increase in clicks and calls. So how does that help channel partners? So 3 of the problems we solve is spending all the money that the clients give you, increase the volume of clicks, and decrease the average cost per click, which has an impact on the volume of phone calls and the cost per phone call as well. So what's our history with channel partners? We work with agencies of any size, by the way, but channel partners have been a growing segment of our business. We have a partner, an investor in our company called Yellow Pages Group. They're a Canadian Yellow Page company. So they've given us some insight into the challenges that we can solve for them. Today, we work with more than 90 Google channel partners, Yellow Page companies, media companies, and vertical marketing services. We're really strong in automotive, legal, real estate, healthcare. We work with YP.com, YPG, of course, Census in Australia, and many other Yellow Page companies from around the world. And what we do for them is help them scale their operation. This is what they tell us. They're able to manage many more accounts without adding too much headcount. And also just generating more retention, basically. Their clients come back to them and say that they've noticed an improvement, they're getting more phone calls. So the results often in the increased budgets. The clients will often ask to step up. They want more of these phone calls to come in. So we'll run through 2 or 3 case studies quickly, just to show you real examples, real data. These are mostly with Google AdWords specifically, I think. We may have 1 or 2 with Bing. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's see. So this company is they work with local accounts. They have different things, but most of their business is in the auto dealer space. They're not very big. They have about 400 accounts who spend, so on the low end of $400 is the smallest account. The largest one about $7,000. I think they have 1 or 2 outliers that are much larger. So their billing percentages, their billing model, I'm sorry, is a percentage of ad spend. So it's a bit different. They don't sell packages. They spend a budget and they get a pretty large, a really large margin, 35% on average. It's huge. Some of the problems they face is leaving money on the table because they don't spend all the money they're given. They're unable to make all of the money they should be making in terms of margin. They're constantly making budget adjustments because they call their clients. Clients say spend more money, spend less, and these disruptions mean that they're forced to pause campaigns really early every month. So often the 20th of the month, there's no more money to spend. There's a greater need for control and accuracy. You know, they find many of their accounts overspending, which causes situations where the following month you can't spend for the first week or 2 because you overspent the month before. So, or just losing control and losing, in fact, the customer's faith in what you do for them. So we deployed our technology at large, but specifically our algorithms in a test sample for these guys with 50 accounts in January, and in March there are still 42 accounts. So what we did is we took those 42 accounts and analyzed the before and after. So before we deployed, the budgets are going to be different. You'll see because, like I said, there's a lot of changes that happen. So these accounts had budget changes, but no other changes. So basically we spent, before we came in, they were spending 85.4% of the budgets overall for the sample. So it's a significant gap. After we deployed the technology, it's almost perfect, so really, really precise management of the budgets. 99.8% attainment, and here's the distribution. So this is before. The 42 accounts are listed there with their target budgets on the left, money that was spent on the right. So it's a bit are underspending, some are overspending, so it's a little bit all over the place. And after we deploy, it's much, much closer. If you look at the deltas on the right, you see that they're usually less than 1%. So very, very accurate spend. And I didn't put the data on the clicks, but on average for this company, in fact for most companies in local, on average what happens is we double the clicks. Some numbers I have in mind recent for a really, really big yellow page company, 92% increase in clicks across thousands of accounts. So it's not small. So it's a really significant difference. And we spend the money, so it's not like we're doubling the budget. It's the same amount that they had to spend in the first place. So we cut the CPC in half. Of course, it varies on account per account, but when you take a large sample, that's what it looks like. So really accurate budget management, many more clicks, many more calls. Here's another example. This is a yellow page company, in this case, with about 6,000 accounts that we have under management. Same idea. These guys sell packages, though it's different. So they'll go to the client and say, okay, it's $300 package, and so that includes media, services, everything. So they had some challenges. They're spending about 78% of the budget, the PPC budget that was allocated to Google AdWords was being spent. It's a significant gap, but the accounts are small, so it's not unexpected. We see this a lot. Between 80, 85% of budgets are spent. They have very few clicks per day, on average 2.7 clicks per day, so it's not, it's tricky, you know, to control your budgets if one click can throw you over budget by 10% for the month, you know. So they needed to control, so we tested the technology for these guys with 65 accounts. To start today, we have all of their business, but we started with 65 accounts. And here's the results. So these are really, really small accounts. The ones before were slightly larger, automotive dealers, so they're, you know, they'll spend a lot more money. These ones are small accounts, so still significant improvement. We're able to spend 27% more money. This is on the sample. On the overall, I don't have the data right now, but it's similar to that. 27% increase in average daily spend. Budget attainment 94%, so not as accurate as when the accounts are larger. When there's more click flow, there's much more accuracy, but still much better. You know, we're able to spend a lot more of the money than they were able to spend before. And volume has increased a lot, 61% increase in volume. So average clicks per day is what I mean by volume in their case. And average CPC also decreased slightly, 13% decrease. So overall, pretty good, compelling results. You know, today we have like all of their accounts are managed by this technology, and we're working hand in hand with them to sort of integrate more of their internal systems and do more, just a closer integration. So as a summary, you know, we're technology, we automate a lot of stuff, but a lot of it revolves around automating bid management, budget rollover, CRM integrations, and things like that for customers who are already in local search. And working with pricing engines, we're able to work with companies who are not in that space yet and want to get started, but they want to have the best of both worlds. So they want to have the best account creation, account management, and they want to have the best bid management, budget management to make sure clients are satisfied, budgets are respected. And so the two offerings combined have a lot of automation built in, and it works really, really well, and it scales really nicely. You know, so we're able to onboard tons of accounts per day without adding too many humans. So I think that was the point of the webinar. So through better optimization, better automation of various processes, integration with systems, it's possible today to build scale, and it's being done, build scale without adding hundreds of account managers.
Will Pricing Engine work for non-English speaking countries?
That's a great question. So the question is, will Pricing Engine work for non-English speaking countries? We currently support 4 languages in-house, English of course, and we also support Spanish, Portuguese, and Turkish. We cover a lot of international traffic for our clients. The major challenge we'll have is that the value proposition of a multi-channel package like Search Boost, for example, where we can optimize between Google, Bing, and Yahoo for a client in the U.S., we can only optimize if there's enough traffic. So where the search traffic for Bing doesn't exist in some countries, it becomes more of a Google proposition. But yes, it does work, and in many countries where we find less competitive clicks, we can actually generate quite a bit more value. So one of our largest clients, we're working currently in 6 languages. We don't support those languages officially, but when our big client asks, we do it. And that includes Hebrew, Dutch, French, English, Spanish, and Portuguese, among other things.
Does Pricing Engine leave access footprint inside client accounts, AdWords, etc.?
Well, I'm not sure, given that the question was a little bit vague, I'm not sure, so I'll just give you a sense of how it works. We create those accounts in an automated way. The vast majority of our clients have no accounts that exist already, so we create those and operate those from our own system so that accounts can be monitored and managed from a central single point. This allows obviously more automation, allows optimization across channels from a central location. In the case where a client may be spending a bit more and works already in AdWords and we need to adopt that, we do that on a more ad hoc basis. But yes, it's totally possible to do. Then it acts more like an agency account. And as the larger the accounts get, the more we can have direct contact with people involved. But for the vast majority of the small businesses, those accounts are created from scratch, deployed simultaneously on all the platforms requested as new accounts.
How does Pricing Engine compare with other bid management tools like Kenshu or Marin?
Well, we do less bid management in the sense that those 2 companies do, and that's one of the reasons we've partnered with Acquisio. Our traditional client is a very small client where bid management is much more about effectively deploying the budget, as in Mark's last example, and quite often less about getting that extra 0.2% of efficiency. So our tools are focused on accurate and efficient deployment of extremely small budgets. And when we have the ability to partner with someone like Acquisio and their best-in-class tools for bid management, we really see improvements beyond the initial. To be quite honest, a lot of our initial clients are making sort of rookie mistakes like not geo-fencing, not using negative keywords or best practices. And so we can see vast and large improvements in their initial performance just by doing those sorts of things. But this isn't something that small business tends to encounter a lot. And when we do have larger clients, and as they grow, we begin to implement solutions like Acquisio's.
What level of reporting and optimization is available for an agency client who may manage hundreds of individual campaigns across different publishers?
All right, I can take that one. So the level of reporting is whatever you want it to be. So Acquisio self-serve tool, you go in, you have a white sheet of digital paper, I guess you could call it. We have thousands of potential reporting components that you can bring in. And so it's up to you what you want to see in your reports is completely designed by the agency. Of course, we can help you think about what are the right report components to put in front of your customers. In terms of client access, you can schedule reports to go out by email. They can be PDF. They could be reports that are HTML5, so that will adapt to any device. Or if the client clicks the link, they can see the report in their mobile phone. They can see it on a tablet, and you can see, of course, on a laptop, and the report will adapt to the device that's there. So that's as flexible as it can be. I guess that answers the question. By the way, if there's more questions about reporting and stuff like that, feel free to ask them. If we run out of time, we will follow up with you personally after the call.
What different publishers does your tool interact with? Google, Bing, Facebook, etc. Is there a list somewhere?
For Acquisio, we focus on Google AdWords, Bing Ads. Yahoo Search Marketing for some European countries is still alive. Baidu, we have an integration with Yandex as well in Russia. Did I say Facebook already? Did I? Yeah, I don't know. And then LinkedIn as well. And I think Jeremy does a little bit more as well. I believe he has Twitter as well. Is there a list? Yes, it's on our website. I'm sure there's a list of all the integrations that are available. It's in our marketplace as well. If you're an existing customer, you can go in the marketplace and see all the different publishers that are available.
Is this more of a template campaign, or is there a manual service provided as well?
So I believe that would be regarding the hundreds of templates we've drawn up, and we are constantly refreshing a pool of templated best practices ads in each category. If we face a category that is different or unique or requires customization, we have essentially moderators that will do that. Almost every situation requires a human eye to at least make sure the ad makes sense, and we do customization. The reality is, by selecting from a pool of ads and deploying them in a geofence fashion across different geographies, there's almost never a chance of the ads looking similar in the same search, because we deploy them in a fashion that allows them to not just be customized, but simply never to encounter each other in typical bidding.
If you can share, how does the pricing model work, and how long are contract terms?
Well, I'll speak for Acquisio and Jeremy, but there's a combined offering as well, and we'll be happy to talk to you about that. But in terms of just using only Acquisio, it's a percentage of ad spend. We also have in the local search, which is actually the topic of this webinar, there's also an offer for a per account pricing. So, and of course, volume brings discounts on the percentage or on the cost per account. And as for Jeremy, I'll let him speak.
We operate similarly, and so the it's a percentage of spend. But what we generally do is we work on producing the price levels of the packages with our reseller partners to ensure that they're the level of an appropriate upsell for their typical average spend of an existing customer. But we do recommend, though, is selling them as 6 or 12-month packages that become renewing until canceled. And this way, we can ensure there's a lifetime value of the customer, as a lot of the the work is obviously front-loaded, even as automated as it is. And this also allows us the time to optimize on accounts that generate a lot less data, quite frankly, because they're smaller. So it gives us a chance to really get the accounts swinging for the fences. But yes, the high level, it's a percentage of spend, and depending on the packages, we encourage more lengthy commitments, at least initially, like 6 to 12 months for a very small package.
Okay, I think this one's for Mark. Does Acquisio integrate with callrail.com?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe they're on our short list of the next partners. So we're not currently integrated with CallRail. I could be wrong, but I think we're not there. But I do know that we're talking to them, so which means it's coming soon.
We do, actually.
Oh, good.
So we do,
all right.
We actually just had drinks with their senior team at the Street Fight Summit here in New York. They're a great partner and do a very good job, a lot of experience integrating their conversion and dynamic persistent call numbers into our clients' accounts. So if you as a reseller have access to the landing pages, we can do a little bit more work, much like Mark was talking about, driving trackable calls and optimizing onto productive calls, which often comes up with our firms, for example, in the legal space or any of the professional service and home service spaces with high lead values. I think home services is the second largest industry category for us.
In regards to BBM, how does it keep in mind average position?
Well, it's one of the key factors in understanding what's happening in the auction. It's not only looking at impression flow, click flow, but average positions part of the equation. We look at something like 20, could be wrong, but something like 20 different variables: impression share, loss due to budget, impression share, quality score. Well, anyway, so there's a lot of things that we look at in terms of what do we do next? What's the next move? How do we change the bid? By how much and why? And if the question is, do we optimize for average position or using average position, there's two answers. We do it, but to be honest with you, we found it not that useful. But we do it because some clients sell that, so they promise that the client's going to be in position 2 all the time. So yeah, of course we're able to do that. It's not hard, but our mission in life is to deliver more clicks for better cost, more calls for a better cost per call. So that's a bit outside of our main mission, but we do it because clients ask for things sometimes, so you do what they ask. But yeah, if you want to find out more information about that, just reach out to me after. I'll put you in touch with our scientists. And
how does your tool interact with international search engines like Baidu, Yahoo Japan, etc.?
So for us, this is Acquisio. We integrate through APIs, if that's the question, and we are able to produce reports. We're able to manage bids. The UI for Yahoo Japan is in Japanese, actually. We have a joint venture in Japan with IREP, where we manage just under $1 billion in US dollars, if you translate Japanese yen. So it's a significant part of our business is in Japan today. So if this is of interest, of course, we think we know we're the dominant platform there. Baidu, the integration is through bulk sheets. So we have API integrations. We do everything, but the UI for you is a bulk sheet UI because it's used only by a few of our customers that are very, very large in the travel industry, and they work with bulk sheets and APIs. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, it looks like we have time for one more. Will the BBM algorithm be able to have split strategy for mobile and desktop eventually?
Whoa, that presupposes we don't do it now. We do that now. We use mobile bid adjustments to have separate strategies.
Thanks, Mark and Jeremy, for conducting today's webinar. We really appreciate all the info.
Thanks very much for having us. This is really great. We always enjoy talking about our projects.
Yes, likewise here.
Okay, great. So I'd also like to thank everyone for attending today. And just as a heads up, we'll be closing out the year with webinars from Reach Local and another one hosted by LSA's Greg Sterling. For more info on these and all of our upcoming webinars, visit localsearchassociation.org/webinars. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.